It was either I was going to sacrifice God's calling for the situationship, or I was going to sacrifice the situations. I was going to sacrifice the situationship for God's purpose. And my decision is evident as, I'm sitting in front of you, choosing self-love and aligning myself with God's purpose over my life. Hello, darlings. My name is Tori Couture, and welcome to my channel, A Beauty From Within. So, I don't think I introduced myself in my last video, and I apologize about that. In part one, we just discussed the first 3 reasons to sacrifice relationships for self-love, and they were: relationships create distractions, we need some self-awareness, and we need some time to be alone. I'm not going to go in detail of each point, but I will encourage you to check out part 1 to this video. So in today's video, we will be talking about the other 3 reasons to sacrifice relationships for self-love. So let's get into it. The 4th reason to sacrifice relationships for self-love is we need to undergo a healing process. So in my last video, I shared how I was dealing with 2 guys at once. I just want to explain that situation a little bit more in depth. And even though I know this is a no judgment zone, I still want to explain that scenario just a little bit more. So I want to start with that old saying of, the best way to get over an old man is to get under a new one. And like I mentioned in my previous video, that's unhealthy because there may be moments where we haven't healed before moving from one person to the next. And that's kind of what I dealt with when I was experiencing dealing with 2 guys at once. So, like I said, I was dealing with 2 guys at once, right? One guy, we were clearly over and we were just friends, but I was still holding on to the potential, and I didn't really know how to let him go. The other guy that I was dealing with, I was very fond of him, but the problem with that situation was there were some things that I didn't really heal from that kind of carried over into the second guy that I was dealing with. So essentially, I didn't close one door before opening a new one. So during that time when I was dealing with them, I had a breaking point when I had, went into therapy. And for a long time, I didn't really have a thought about going to therapy. But then I had a crack in my life where I had experienced a carjacking incident that occurred in, 2021. And so even though that was a horrible thing that happened to me, I also believe that it led to me making the, best decision of my life, which was, seeking therapy. And once I sought out therapy, it also opened a door for the healing process of other experiences that I went through in my life. So when I first started seeing my therapist, she helped me identify areas of brokenness that I didn't even know that existed. She also taught me how to have more grace and forgiveness for myself and others. I was in the wrong in a lot of situations. I knew that I was the problem. And I knew there were moments where I caused wrongdoing into other people's life and other people caused wrongdoing onto me. But once you realize people do hurtful things out of brokenness, you'll begin to have a different perspective about yourself and others. I really just want to emphasize the importance of seeking therapy, because if you ever endure any trauma in your life, I just really want to encourage you to seek therapy to kind of heal those harmful experiences that happened to you, because it really worked for me. And this is coming from a person for a long time, didn't, seek therapy, but now has a master's degree in counseling psychology. So I really want to encourage you to kind of think about that as far as your healing process and, going into therapy. And we'll move on to point number 5. The fifth reason to sacrifice relationships for self-love is to come into covenant with your spirituality. So I know that spirituality looks different for everyone, but I can only talk about my own personal experience. And I am a true believer of God, and I believe that He has the power to do all things, and He knows what's good for me and what's not good for me. I believe that God breaks us away from people that no longer serves us when we don't have the strength or the ability to do it ourselves. And I know this is true for me because God has, broke me away from the two guys that I was dealing with because they no longer added value to my life. I always wanted approval and validation from the people that I was dealing with. Like, am I pretty enough? Do you like this idea? Do you value me? Do you love me? Those type of things. But I realized the approval and the validation that I really needed was from God. And I also fear being alone. I haven't really been alone since my sophomore year of high school, which was back in 2012. And it's 2022 now, so that's 10 years. And with my low self-esteem, I felt like I couldn't bear being alone. But when I was dealing with two guys, there was something in my spirit that was telling me that I needed to be alone. And I believe that, that was God speaking to me and helping me be more in covenant with Him. After a while, I got tired of forcing situationships, crying, arguing, lack of self-worth, crossing my own boundaries, and I just really had enough. And it got to the point where I wanted to sacrifice my own wants and desires of a relationship for God's purpose and desires over my life. And I just wanted to see myself how God seen me. And that kind of leads me into my sixth and final point. The sixth reason to let go of relationships for self-love is to align with purpose. So, once you come into covenant with God, He will begin to reveal the purpose that He has in store for you. So let me just tell you a little bit about that story of my experience. I started building my relationship and becoming more intent about it this year. And when I started to connect with Him, He was giving me glimpses of the vision that He had in store for me. I started crocheting in 2020. And this year I had this unique design of crocheting keychains. And one of the guys that I was dealing with, I was, telling him about my idea of the keychains that I was making. And he was just downplaying, my idea. And he was trying to, show me other people's ideas and get me to do their thing. And I was just that's not my thing. I felt like it was original, it was unique to me. And the fact that he didn't support my vision, I felt like he was taking away, what God really had in store for me. This is the same person that, I held on to the potential and I didn't really know how to let him go. But once I seen that he wasn't really aligning with my purpose, that's when I had the strength to finally let him go. And once I let him go, God granted me the opportunity to do my first pop-up shop, and that was a real success. And it's amazing how when you let go of things that's no longer adding value, or let go of things of, they just not added to your purpose, and they kind of negative, or have they kind of weighing you down. And once you take that weight off of you, then God kind of bless you with more opportunities. It was so crazy how that whole dynamic really happened. The other guy that I was dealing with, I told him that my other calling that God had in store for me was to be an advocate for people living with genital herpes, because that's my story and that's something that I experienced. And he just did not support that at all. Like, why you need to help them? You ain't gotta do that. If I'm messing with you, you know, I don't want people all in my business. You know, that whole type of thing. And when he said that to me, I just felt like, you know, he was embarrassed of me, to, like, if I'm being honest. And it was either I was going to sacrifice God's calling for the situationship, or I was going to sacrifice the situations. I was going to sacrifice the situationship for God's purpose. And my decision is evident, as you know, I'm sitting in front of you, choosing self-love and aligning myself with God's purpose over my life. So with that being said, that basically concludes my thoughts about this video of all the 6 reasons to sacrifice relationships for self-love. And I'll go back through them again. First reason, relationships create distractions. You need some self-awareness. You need some time to be alone. Fourth reason, you need to undergo a healing process. You need to be in covenant with God and spirituality, and you need to align with purpose. And I hope you found value in this video. Let me know in the comments, you know, what stuck out to you the most. This channel is made for you to feel validated and heard, and I just would, you know, I would be very appreciative if you just share your thoughts with me in the comments and on my channel. With that being said, you can find me on Instagram at Tori_2020vision. I will be posting more videos soon, so I look forward to you guys tuning in. And I just want to leave you guys with this final thought of, you know, beauty comes from within, and you are always worthy. Thank you for watching this video, and peace and blessings to you.